Hi, everybody. Steve here, and welcome to day 15 of my journey into crypto. Today's going to be a short one, and I want to share a few tips that I learned just by practicing today. And that's what I'm going to cover. So, really quickly, the topic is practice transferring crypto because I think networks, addresses, and wallets are potentially really confusing, especially when you add money to the mix. And you can learn how to overcome that by using the test network. So I'm going to show you really quickly how easy it is to do some testing just to get comfortable before you start sending real funds. So here we go. Part of my motivation for doing this is that I've been really frustrated with not being able to move my funds out of Binance, the central exchange. And the reason I can't is they've disabled the ability to withdraw on the Binance Smart Chain. So if you see here, it's been currently unavailable for over 4 days. I don't think it's anything related to my account, but regardless, I've got BNB tokens and BUSD tokens I'd like to move out, and moving things on the BSC chain is really inexpensive. The fees are really low, but this has been unavailable. So I'm left with sending things over the BEP2 network. And that's not terrible. I just can't do as much with those funds once you get them there. So I've been looking at doing a swap, which is I did in one of my earlier videos last week when I used my Trust wallet to do a swap. And I did a really small amount of about $9. And then the fees to do the swap took away half of that. And I did learn quite a bit on the fee structure, and you can read all about it here. But if you look at some of the documentation on the Binance chain, cross-chain communication fees, they'll show you that there's a fee of 0.004 BNB and another one going from Binance chain to Binance Smart Chain. So that does add up. And so it makes sense to do one transfer of a lot of funds. So before I do that, I wanted to practice with this and make sure I knew what I was doing. So one of the things I looked into, and I think this is just smart for anybody, is learning how to do transfers using the test networks. So there's such a thing, which is you can go to a faucet, which is just a mechanism to deliver test currency into a test wallet using a test network. So it's really easy to do that, and I'll walk you through that right now. In the meantime, what I did is I created another wallet. Binance has a wallet for their platforms, and it's just like installing MetaMask or any other type of wallets you're going to generate your seed phrase. So I did not document that this time. But what you can do is up here, you can look at the networks that you've got listed. And I've got Binance Chain Network and Binance Smart Chain Network. And there's a toggle switch where you can show the test networks. And that's what they have here. When you do this test, you want to start out with the Smart Chain Test Network. So have that toggled. Then you can copy your address. And then go right here. You can go to Smart Chain Faucet. And all you have to do is Google Binance Smart Chain Faucet. And you'll find this. Type in your address and give me BNB and type that in. So I realized that message I got was because I had already done a test not too long ago, about an hour ago. So let's just show you what that looks like. So over here, I've got my wallet, as I was showing you earlier, and I did that same exact mechanism where I put funds into my Smart Chain test wallet, and it gave me one BNB token in here. So what you can do now is you can click on your funds in your test network, and I've got 0.35 left because I've been moving them back and forth. Just click on that, and now you can hit send, and then your asset resides in the BSC network. And at this point, you can tell it where you want to send it. And this wallet in particular will support sending cross-chain. So that's one of the advantages of this wallet. And similar to Trust Wallet, that wallet also supports cross-chain transfers of BNB tokens. What I'll do now is go over to the address for my Binance chain test wallet, and I'm just going to put in 0.2 because I have 0.35 left, and I'll just hit send. And it's going to ask me for some confirmation. It will show that there is a network fee of 0.015. And I'm going to send this much, and that's my total amount that I'll have to pay. So you get an idea of the type of fees that are involved too. What I've found is cheaper to send tokens from the Smart Chain network to Binance network. It's more expensive to send tokens from the Binance network to the Smart Chain network. And that's all documented in the same page I showed you earlier. So I'll go ahead and click send, and this will go pretty quick. And I'll just scroll over, and now I'll select the Binance Chain network. And before too long, it will show up. Okay, here we go. The amount just showed up in my wallet. You can see right here, I received at 0.20 BNB, and it just happened. So I only put the recording on pause for less than 2 minutes, so it happened really quickly. And I think this is pretty indicative of what you can expect. They're really trying to simulate a real life environment. Now, the other thing you can do is if you hit this button up here, it will actually show you the transaction on the blockchain. So this is another way to start getting familiar with what this looks like. The key thing here is you'll start to get comfortable with looking at addresses for the wallets. And this one right here is a T and then BNB. So that means it's a BEP2 network. So that's the Binance chain. So anyway, this is a real quick, easy way to start getting comfortable with sending and receiving funds in your wallet. And when you're on the main net, especially Binance Smart Chain network, you can send and receive currency between here and your MetaMask wallet or your Trust wallet or any other wallet that supports Binance Smart Chain network. I now have 4 wallets configured and set up just because I wanted to start learning how to transfer things back and forth. And going back to my primary frustration at the beginning is I need to figure out, how do I get currency outside of the central exchanges? And I realized that the main thing is I just need to do a big lump sum and then make sure I can get it to a place where I can convert it to something else. And what I'm trying to do is minimize the fees. So that's why I really want to use the Binance Smart Chain, because getting the fees out of the central exchange and onto a smart chain is really inexpensive, but that one's locked down. Now on my Coinbase account, I have about $100 worth of Ethereum, and I can trade that for a different currency, but I don't want to move Ethereum out on the Ethereum mainnet because the transaction fees for just moving that is going to cost probably $10 or $12 just to move it somewhere. If that's part of the educational process, I'm fine with doing that, but I really want to find a better way and optimize it. And I think for people who just want to play around with lesser amounts of currency, it's not very motivating to put in $50 or $60 and see what you can do with it. You may have to start out with $200 or $300 to even have any opportunity to do something productive. So that's what I want to figure out next. And that's where I'm going to be diving into, is how do I get my money out of the central exchange with the least amount of friction possible and off to a decentralized exchange where I can convert it to something else and either buy or create an NFT or engage in some type of decentralized finance application or do something else. There's so much else you can do. So I need to get the funds out. All right, that'll come tomorrow. I'll talk to you soon.